absolutely wild the lengths people will go to not do the thing they should be doing anyway. Like, oh, like I think I got to get an MRI and get surgery and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, how about we just move a little?
It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's the Gloop Guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gloop Guys Network. Today, we have another very special guest, Dr. Ben Petersen. Dr. Ben, thank you for coming on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So
man. Excited to learn about you.
We always like to start with the easiest question possible. How did your fitness journey start, and how has it impacted your professional career?
Good one. So as far as, how my fitness journey really started, I started back, way back in high school with insecure version of Ben. And so, kind of like a smaller, skinnier kid growing up, loved to play baseball. And so I really started training more for athletics. And then obviously that went into my college career for a little bit, got injured, and then really focused in on academics after that. Honestly, quitting baseball in college is one of the best decisions I ever made because my GPA went up significantly after I had a lot more time to study. And so for me, like fitness going into my professional career, I really think it's helped build resilience and discipline, which has helped me, actually stick with it and go through the full program. I know a lot of people, especially like clients that'll reach out and they're like, oh, like Dr. Ben, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm just Ben. You just call me Ben. I'm just, I was a lot more patient than some people to finish school. So definitely think it helped build resilience. I think it helped build discipline. And those are obviously big things that have huge payoffs in almost every facet of your life.
Yeah, I sort of think a similar thing happened to me. I played football, shot put and discus in high school. And I always was like, I really want to play in college. It'd be a lot of fun. But I know if I actually played in college, which I didn't, I would have gotten way worse grades on everything. So it was probably for the best in the long run, and actually made me get more into school and stuff like that too. So I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, sports can be a little almost like a career, no matter what division. Like I had friends, I was a swimmer in high school. I tried to swim in college, and thank God they didn't take me because I had a friend who was a swimmer at Seton Hall, which is a Division I school. And he went to through PT school and everything with it. It was tough. I watched him, it was 4 a.m. Practices and stuff. I would have drowned.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, when I quit baseball in college and I realized how much more free time I had, I was so confused. I'm like, how do people struggle? Going from, college athletics and stuff like that to like normal people school, you're like, wow, like everyone has so much time. Like, why is this hard? That was my experience up until I went to PT school. And then I'm like, oh shit, this is hard again. So that's when I was like, oh, I remember the first test in PT school, I just bombed it. I'm like, oh, it's that level of knowledge. Oh, okay. I gotta sharpen up a little bit. So
yeah.
So
Aaron, I think we can also probably attest to remembering our first at least midterm week in PT school was I feel like I have PTSD from it. Like I remember not feeling human at one point.
I know for the first at least few months after PT school, I was like, I just can't study. I can't do research like I used to, just because my brain was just so boggled from just boards and PT school that I needed a little bit of time for my brain to just get back in the swing of it. Get a little bit of motivation again. So
that kind of leads us into the next question that we were thinking about, which is why did you originally become a physical therapist, Ben? What led you to that?
Yeah, honestly, the pursuit of knowledge. I think it's so funny when especially like incoming PT students are all like, yeah, like I want to help people and blah blah blah. I always find those answers to be really funny. Just because of course, everyone wants to help people. I mean, that's why everyone does almost anything in life, right? But for me specifically, I'm just a huge fitness nerd, and honestly, it was just something that I really started hyperfixating on in college, and I just really wanted to pursue knowledge. And that was the real reason why I went to PT school. I really had this idea of running my online fitness coaching business since before PT school. And so my whole intention was to take the knowledge from PT school and apply it to my current business, which is exactly what I'm doing. But pursuing knowledge is the biggest thing. And just having something that was more practical in nature compared to like, a PhD or a master's in XFiz, and, realistically a little bit of a backup plan in case everything blew up. So that was like the main reasoning for why I wanted to go the DPT route.
Mm-hmm. So like you said, you always knew you wanted to, I guess, go into more of the online, I guess, coaching type of thing, but just using it as an adjunct. And it makes sense. Like, it really does give you a good baseline level of knowledge, or even just a way of looking into research, which I think sort of goes into your whole sort of shtick online, just using research, getting into research a little bit more. And I think we sort of mentioned in one of our questions, but how would you recommend someone new to, I guess, working out, maybe thinking of going to school, to get into research more and actually find good research instead of some of, the garbage stuff we might see on the internet?
Yeah, I think the internet is just full of so many copy paste people. It's insane. It's the amount of trainers and like low level coaches, or even, I mean, I'm not going to call out names or anything like that, but there's so many people who get their education from social media, and it's such a just a bad place. Not saying that like the stuff that I post is bad, but you're really getting a mix of basically anybody who has a phone can post their take on any sort of fitness or nutrition or whatever topic. And so it's just not the best place to learn new information. A lot of the stuff really lacks nuance, a lot lacks context. If you are somebody who's really looking to learn and really get into it, I've got a link on, if you just DM me the word MASS, MASS on Instagram, I'll send you a link. But MASS is the monthly applications of strength sports. It's put on by Dr. Eric Helms. One of the best $30 per month subscriptions I've ever spent on for just like professional education. Essentially what they do is they summarize a lot of the new research articles in like layman's terms, which makes it really easy. Lane Norton also has a version of his called Reps. I like Mass a little bit better. They have a little bit more articles per month. And it's a great place to not only learn about different like strength and like nutrition based topics, but just the way they break it down and also bring in the other literature to kind of really drive the point home. Is super useful. So I really like that resource. I will give a little shout out to Reps. I think it's like maybe $15 a month for Reps for Lane Norton's. It's pretty good as well. I'm also subscribed to Bill Campbell's version. His is a little bit kind of lackluster. I wouldn't really recommend that one. No, shout out Bill Campbell. He's still an awesome researcher and stuff. But I would say Mass and Reps are probably the two biggest ones if you're new to, I mean, honestly, even if you are a professional and you've been doing this for a while, it's honestly a great resource, especially from a like strength and hypertrophy based perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I'll actually, if you don't mind, I'll snag those links. I'll post them in the description of the video on YouTube, so this way whoever's on there, and I'll put your Instagram on there too, so everyone can go and check that out. I think that's all good resources for sure. And you definitely hit on one of the biggest things that drive me nuts, which is all the social media, like TikTokers who are posting things that are way out of context and way out of left field. And you even have to be careful with some people who try to post research on those, because I mean, all three of us have taken research-based classes in grad school. It's incredibly easy to skew or sway certain articles just based on how you want to read it and interpret it without taking the full article into context. And our professors showed us that in grad school. Is like you'd be surprised with, like, for example, one was like talking about spinal manipulation, how it isn't helping, and they did all of the research and published the research article, and it didn't increase range of motion, but they were manipulating cadavers. I got to figure out which research article it was, but it's like, yeah, it didn't improve the quality of life or range of motion because it's a cadaver. It's not going to do that. That's one of my favorite things one of the professors told us, but still, yeah, you got to be careful with all the social media stuff for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It's also really easy to find like one research paper or one article or, God forbid, a narrative review of, somebody who like gives their opinion on something, and then they just spit it as like, oh, like this is published in PubMed. It's obviously fact, right? And so I think one of the biggest things for people like new getting into research is like look at the systematic reviews, look at the meta-analysis. Things with higher degrees of evidence are going to be the first things to really look at. And then you can get into the narrative reviews and stuff like that, which are a little bit lower on the totem pole.
Yeah. And Dr. Bent, to your point too, you have on your website some research resources as well that I was looking through, and they're pretty good too. I know the Fitness Vault, so your website, we could also tag on everything. As far as that goes, as far as the Fitness Vault, what sort of goes into, I guess, choosing what you want to put on there, or what is the good research that you want to involve on that?
Yeah, so the Fitness Vault is really just, it's kind of my place to put in some of the free resources I link to on social media. So if I'm making a video on a certain topic and I want to give a little bit more context, but I can't really fit it into a 60-second video, I'll just type it up into a blog and then throw it into the Fitness Vault and just say, hey, comment, and I'll send you the link to the full article. And so myself, Dr. Josh, Coach Nat, Coach Aaron as well, basically all the people on my coaching staff will write articles and put it on the Fitness Vault for free resources for people. So obviously not everybody can afford to hire a professional coach. And so that's kind of where we boil down the free stuff for people just getting started or just don't have the means.
Yeah, it helps the people sort of dabbling and still figuring out what they want to do, or maybe don't have the resources. Yeah, it's nice to have. It's nice to have more things that you can look into that are reliable. Like you said, there's some. What's that?
Yeah, trying to make them good.
Do you have a favorite, or I guess least favorite myth that has come up in the last few, I guess, months that you've been talking about?
Oh, these are always fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's too many. I mean, like we, I've got a decent sized page. It's not super big or anything like that, but we will usually get around 1,000 inbound messages per month, and so it leads to a lot of conversations with people, and I really try my best to answer everybody. But man, the amount of misinformation that gets spread that people are just convinced of that they want to try and stuff like that is crazy. Especially with a lot of like the more, carnivore based people, or like the ultra functional people, which I always find super funny. They're almost never physical therapists. And so like there's just so much that goes into it. As far as like the biggest, I mean, there's really no biggest like false belief. Have you guys like seen anything specific on your guys' end?
There's definitely so many out there. There's one channel in particular that, yeah, I won't say his name either, but he constantly posts research articles that he doesn't really say the whole truth of the article. Like he'll take one sentence, say that that's what the whole thing means, and then I'll look at the rest of the article and be like, this article is actually saying exactly the opposite of what you're trying to say or prove. So, for example, it would be something like a half squat is better than a full squat, and won't really go into the research of it. So stuff like that is probably the ones that I noticed the most.
One of my favorites is, and it's not to I'm not going to name it either, but there's just one YouTuber out there who talks a lot about 90-degree angles, and every exercise is based off of 90.
That guy sucks.
Already.
My favorite things to do is to hate on that too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Joel Seaman's terrible, just an absolute con artist. But yeah. I mean, like it's so wild that people, just buy into it. But I think with the main thing with a lot of people is it's really just like marketing. People are looking for a new and unique solution to their problems. They don't want to be told that the problem and the answer to the problem is right in front of their face this whole time. They want some other solution. Whether that solution works or not is just irrelevant to them. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Joel Seaman stuff sucks. Half the chiropractors on YouTube, terrible. I mean, my favorite chiropractors are like Aaron Cabal and stuff, who basically just don't practice. Those are probably my favorite.
Yeah, and to your point too, I'm having a brain fart. It's our once a podcast we're allowed to have at least one brain fart. So
I'll fill in for you, Aaron, what you're thinking. But no, I agree with you. Everyone's looking for that like so-called magical pill in a sense that can go and fix anything. No one wants to actually address the problem right at its forefront. So yeah, they fall into these fads that just get very popular, and you see them cycle in and cycle out and cycle in and cycle out, and it's all just based upon addressing everything but the problem.
Yeah, and now that my brain is unfarted, I'm a geriatric physical therapist, but a lot of the stuff really does apply, and a lot of it really is just keeping it simple. Like, it doesn't have to be some crazy thing that you're doing. Like, sometimes all a person needs to do to improve is just get up and go for a walk every day. Like, someone maybe with back pain who isn't moving as much as they need to, all you really need to do is just get yourself up a little bit more. Try not to avoid movement because of the pain, and get yourself going. Maybe loosen up, maybe stretch a little bit, maybe do some strengthening exercises. And a lot of times stuff will get better if you just do that. Like you said, Dr. Ben, it says, like, you don't have to do this next fad thing. Like, sometimes it's okay if it takes time and you put a little bit more into it, because in the long run, you're going to be doing a lot better.
It's absolutely wild the lengths people will go to not do the thing they know they should be doing anyway. Like, oh, like I think I got to get an MRI and get surgery and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, how about we just move a little bit more? We fix your unhealthy lifestyle, and then we start there. And if that doesn't work, then we try all this other stuff. The amount of people that I get in the DMs who just like, yeah, I want to do a 3-day water fast. I'm like, well, instead of doing that, maybe we just eat some vegetables and we have some protein, and we start there, and then we move on to some other stuff, right? It's so wild. People just assume the extremes are the solution when the extremes are never going to be something that's sustainable for them long term, and so it's not going to be something that's really going to get you to your long term goals. The main thing I like to teach my clients is, like, whatever we're going to do during this program, you're going to need to do after we finish. And if you can't do it on your own, then this is not the approach for you. And so we need to figure out something that's going to work with your lifestyle, something you're going to be able to stick with, because I'm not going to be able to hold your hand over the next 20 to 50 years of your life, right?
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. That's everything I tell like my clients, especially, is like, if they even come and approach like me about like dietary stuff, like, oh, should I try this diet? I was thinking about trying keto, or I was thinking about trying Atkins, whatever the diet may be. I tell them the same thing over and over again, where it's like, the diet might like help you now, but it's realistically going to be a whole lifestyle change that really stops this cycle that you're in, whether it's pain. Like, there's inflammatory factors linked to so many different foods, and it doesn't mean we need to go and do a juice cleanse to get them out of you. It just means we need to change what you're putting in your system at all times versus these processed things. Like, it's the lifestyle change that gets you out of those cycles, not the Atkins diet. They do great. I mean, people lose weight and they get results, but it's not sustainable unless we change what we're doing, what started this in the first place.
Honestly, I think physical therapists should get significantly more nutrition education in school. I think nutrition education, even as a physical therapist, would do such wonders for clients and patients, rather, because a lot of people in the PT clinic, at least my experience before I started my coaching business, was a lot of people just coming in because of unhealthy lifestyle and unhealthy choices that lead to severe weight gain, that lead to poor joints, that lead to lack of strength and deconditioning. The amount of people that I saw that were like, yeah, like, we could do this, we could do that, but the real thing we need to do is just work out and exercise and just do that. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And I think a a lot of physical therapists really shy away from nutrition. They're like, oh, it's not really my scope. It's not really something I know a ton about. But I mean, nutrition isn't your scope. It affects your rehab program. If this person's severely overweight, well, it's something you should learn about and should be able to educate your patient on. Because realistically, that nutrition education is going to help them lose weight, which is going to reduce, stress in the joints, which is going to help them with their strength training, which is going to help them live a better, more functional life.
And of course, I have to bring it back to geriatrics. I have a lot of patients that almost have the opposite problem in that they don't eat enough or they don't have enough stuff in their system. So like proper hydration, making sure you have at least some type of protein in your diet or just some type of calories, honestly. Like I have had a bunch of people that'll have a bunch of medications. Whether or not they could wean off some of them is a different story for another day. But because they're on all these different medications, their appetite really isn't there. So they don't want to eat anything. And I'm just like, you just find something to eat. Just eat something. At least have something in your system. Although it's not ideal, I'd rather you have something in your system that your body can use to build at least a little bit of muscle, a little bit of strength, or just make you maybe not so tired. Like I'll have people who say, oh man, I'm so tired. I don't really know why. And I'm like, oh, what did you have for breakfast? And I'm like, oh, I didn't eat breakfast. And I was like, oh, are you drinking water? Like, no, I didn't drink any water. So you're not drinking any water. You don't have anything in your system. Of course, you're going to feel a little bit more tired or have more trouble with some of this stuff.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Just got to slip them that Ensure when you leave the room.
Yeah. And honestly, even like Ensure is great. Even if you don't like Ensure, there's so many other like different ones that are similar that might taste a little bit better. Yeah, like just try it out. You'll find something that tastes good, and then you could just stick with it from there.
Nutrition is definitely something that I talk to like a lot of my post-operative patients about, and just sitting here talking about it is making me realize like, no, I actually need to expand this. I'm in outpatient orthopedics. I need to expand this to even just my non-post-operative patients. I specifically talk to my post-operative patients because it's a very heavy healing phase, and it's like, hey, listen, like what you put into your body is going to help you heal faster. I talk to them specifically. I'm like, I don't know if you're a smoker or a drinker, but we need to cut that down as much as we can because it's going to impede how fast this can heal. And you can have a lot of other detrimental problems with it too. But that's something that honestly, I need to just realizing now, expand past that because everybody's healing whatever pain that we're in. So just because one person's post-operative doesn't mean that the person who's not post-operative needs the same or doesn't need that pep talk too. So that's something that I like that I'm going to have to expand.
Yeah, I love it.
I do like actually going into nutrition stuff. I do think I also could improve with it, but it's something like you said, Ben, like it's just good to know. It's something that it's health, and healthcare isn't just always make a person stand up and sit down or do some exercise. As far
let's
as,
also be honest too with when it comes to nutrition, we're seeing a lot of, I mean, we'll be blunt, obesity is on the forever rise. How many people that we see that are obese and unfortunately that's going to direct pain too. You're going to see more pain in the back, in the knees, in the extremities. It's going to affect the neck posture. It affects everything. So if we, as physical therapists, want to make people feel better and get them out of pain, but we don't want to address the problem that could be directly causing some of their pain, then what are we doing?
100%. 100%. So, and obviously as physical therapists, we're not like, curing diseases or working with people that, need highly specialized nutrition. But when it comes to like the basics, the entry level stuff, general weight loss, obesity management's definitely within our scope for sure.
Yeah.
Now, sort of along those lines, is there anything else you feel like needs to be focused on a little bit more through physical therapy school, or it would just benefit people in general?
Like from a PT school perspective, I mean, I definitely think that like exercise prescription is definitely something that could have been significantly better in school. I think it just depends on the program. Our program was a little bit weak when it comes to like the exercise aspect of it. As far as like in general, I do think post rehab programming is definitely something that is a like gold, like not even a gold mine, but what's the best way to describe it? But basically just like this untapped market where we have so many people once they finish PT who never do the exercises ever again. And at the same token, there's also a plethora of people who have never done your HEP ever. Whether they tell you they've done your HEP or not, they're literally never doing it. And so I think one of the biggest issues in current PT is obviously having a better way to deliver your HEP, whether that's because honestly, like the handouts, people aren't doing that. So if there was some way that you could have an app that you upload your HEP to that they can log, that you can see that they log the workouts or the HEP program, that would be super beneficial. I think having some sort of like pathway to deliver, the person who's been DC'd from rehab, but who's ready to excel in their fitness goals and stuff like that, like having some sort of pathway there would be super beneficial as well. I know that's something that we're actively pursuing with Aspire Fit to try to partner with PT clinics to have that nice little handoff where we can help people stay healthy and hit their long-term goals and stuff like that. But I think a lot of PTs really do a disservice where they kind of discharge people a little bit too early, or just like don't really set them up for success once they're done. Now, and that's the main thing. But the bigger one for me, I think, is just I think most of the HEP programs that people give are just like not quite good enough, and whether that's on the patient or whether that's on the physician, or not the physician, the therapist rather. It's kind of irrelevant because your job as a therapist is to get them to change their behavior and do it, right? So I think there needs to be a bigger talk when it comes to like how do we deliver better HEPs where people will actually do it. I think the other thing, and I'll like last one on my soapbox, but the PTs who don't really lift, who just make these giant lists of exercises, also just need to, go to some Con Ed courses. That's my last one.
Yeah, I will say exercise prescription is something that I feel like for some programs is a struggle sometimes. It's crazy to see it, like you just said, like a lot of PTs who don't exercise or go to the gym, and they don't really understand it, but also mixing in the PT school not teaching it appropriately. And I agree. The one thing that I feel like a lot of like PT schools are failing on are the post care part of it. It's very easy just to gonna go on the HPP program. I'll pick these 6 exercises, print it out. All right, here, this is them, and that's it. And how many times should I do this? Like once a day. I don't know. It should be more than that. It's sad, and you know what? All those papers end up stuffed in a drawer somewhere in the garbage, left in the car, vacuumed up somewhere. The dog eats it. No one ever follows them fully. I actually ask return patients when they come back with either the same pain or a different pain, like, how'd you do with the home exercise plan from last time? And I'll say 90% of them like, oh, what home exercise plan?
Yep.
It's sad, but I agree. That's something that needs to definitely be addressed because it can, not that we don't want patients to return, but it can stop the return of pain and have patients and people moving better.
100%.
Yeah, as far as exercise goes too, it's like it's the same thing for me. Like we have so many people that you just almost know that they're going to be back in a few months, and it's sort of sad too. Like I usually when I discharge someone, I say, I like seeing you, but I don't want to have to see you. I want you to be out doing your own thing, moving well, and like it's not supposed to be like, oh, I just keep seeing them and seeing them. Like it's not supposed to be like, oh, let's plan for next month. You come right back on. Some of my population, honestly, you do just because like neuro conditions like Parkinson's, MS, there's going to be degeneration and you're going to have to sort of adjust as different things happen. But a majority of people, like you really don't have to see them multiple times a year for multiple things. Like it should be that they can continue with that. One thing we were actually talking to someone about last week is just learning like the big 3 exercise: squat, bench, deadlift in PT school. It's something that is like a simple thing that we all have to do. And we like our program did okay with it, but it's something I think that would be an easy thing to implement, that you could just even critique everyone in the classroom or go through that and just learn those movements, get really good at them. And it's just an easy carryover to everything, whether you're an athlete, whether you just do whatever you do. It's a nice, easy thing to get into.
Well, they're basic functional movements, which I mean, that's what physical therapy is about, functioning and functional movements. So those three are some pretty good core ones. And like you said, even if you're someone who doesn't lift, they're good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Throw an overhead press, a lunge, a pull, a vertical pull, and then you're good, right? You get hit all of them.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, how much more do we really have to do?
That's life pretty much. Now, Ben, I kind of want to dive into your online virtual coaching. So you said before that you were looking at that even before PT school, right?
Yeah, 100%. I hate calling it virtual coaching because it kind of gives this weird, it kind of gives it a weird impersonal type of feel. Like it's really just coaching. We're doing it online. We're able to impact people all over the country and overseas and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not virtual coaching, it's coaching, period. And as far as like what I envisioned, I really, saw the boom back in like 2018 where, things are really starting to go online, social media is really starting to pick up. And back then, like Jeff Cavalier was like my homeboy, right? I'm watching his YouTube videos all the time, Athlete X, all this stuff. I mean, honestly, he kind of got me, interested in physical therapy, seeing that he was the PT for the Mets back in the day, and I was a baseball fan, right? And so, realistically, I wanted to figure out an option where we could help people at a larger scale, at a more economical scale. Before I was in PT school, I was a personal trainer charging, as a fresh 22-year-old charging $65 to $100 per session. And I'm like, damn, like, can people really afford this? And honestly, no, most people can't really afford, $65, personal training sessions 3 to 4 times a week to hit their fitness goals. And so I wanted to figure out an option that can deliver really well thought out programming, not only from a training perspective, but from a nutrition perspective, maybe even potentially a rehab perspective at a larger and more economical scale. And so that's really what I've been trying to do this whole time. And so, yeah, that was the real, drive for all this stuff for me. I think that telehealth and online based, education and stuff like that is really going to ramp up over the next 10, 20 years. If it's not, I think the writing's already, people can already see that it's really taken over.
So, yeah, without a doubt, everything's going virtual.
If someone wants to get more into it, are there any big mistakes you made when you first started that you would recommend to try to avoid?
Oh, like if you want to open up your own like online practice or whatever, or online like training business, yeah, what mistakes would you avoid? I think probably the biggest mistake to avoid is, even though I just mentioned like an economical price, I do think charging too little for your professional services is the biggest mistake, right? Still need to keep in mind that this is a professional service and you are taking your time. The main thing is like you need to charge enough in order to provide a good enough service. If you simply just bottom your price when it comes to your coaching program, you're not really going to be able to one scale, right? You'll be able to pay yourself and have profit left over to invest back in the company to grow. And you need to be able to not have like you need to be able to feed yourself and grow the company without and obviously you need to do that by charging enough for your services. So I think underpricing yourself is probably the biggest mistake when you're getting started. The other thing is really like limiting yourself to Google Docs and Sheets and stuff like that. That's where I started. Was like putting everything on, PDFs and stuff like that. It's a terrible way to deliver a program. And so there are a ton of different apps you can look into, like Everfit, Trainerize, Fitbud, that are great platforms to start. I highly recommend not using any platform that charges a commission fee or whatever, where they take 20 to 50% of whatever you make. It's just a terrible business model. So from a business perspective, I just highly would recommend against doing things like that. And honestly, there are quite a few companies out there that are pretty decent when it comes to building an online fitness coaching or nutrition or rehab coaching business. I'll give a little shout out to the Impact Fitness Coaching Academy. Dr. Kevin is a really good friend of mine. He's one of the head business coaches over there. He's also a physical therapist. He worked at R2P in Maryland, if you guys are familiar. But he's a really, really smart business person. I would really highly recommend working with him. He helped me a lot when I started my business.
Yeah, so
That's
Impact
awesome, man.
Fitness Coach Kevin. Makes sense. We might have to look into that.
He is awesome. He built his rehab and online fitness coaching business to I believe 800,000 a year before he ended up selling it to a different company, which is kind of interesting. So
Yeah, so I would definitely call that pretty successful.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's the dream, right? That's what we all want to try to hit, something like that. That's amazing.
So how do you decide pricing? Like, how do you just look at a bunch of other people who are doing a similar thing that you're looking into, or sort of go based on other stuff?
Well, I mean, pricing is really dependent on the service that you offer and what you're doing and what you plan on delivering. And so, you're going to see pricing for, like let's just talk about like online fitness programs. It's very general. You're seeing everybody from moms who don't have any sort of degree or, 19-year-old kids like just finishing high school all the way up to personal trainers and then CSCSs and DPTs and so on and so forth, or even like physicians offering programs. So your pricing will be obviously indicative of how many people you can handle and what you feel like your services are worth, right? You're really charging for the transformation and the education rather than just the hours that you're billing, right? Right now, I think the going rate for like a DPT CSCS combo in the online training sphere is anywhere from 600 to 1,000 per month, just depending. If you're just starting out, you can always start lower and then increase that over time. It also depends on what other services you offer. Like, for example, with our program, we do comprehensive hormonal and metabolic testing with Merrick Health. We do DEXA's pre and post the program, lifetime access to the educational curriculum that we offer with the program to teach our clients how to do this stuff on their own, to build out their own meal plans, workout programs, so on and so forth. We obviously do everything for them. We help them with the grocery list, the meal planning, exercise programming. We'll do a little bit of prehab with them as well. And so we really have a lot that really goes in the program. And honestly, it take a while to go into it all, but pricing is always just reflective of what you're offering.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really just based on the product that you're delivering and what the what one you feel it's worth and what the consumer is getting out of it too is also very very important too. So that's it makes a lot of sense.
And if you want to start with the market, I mean, you can look at what cash-based PTs charge and just say, hey, I'm going to do that times 1 or that times 2 and call it good, and then work up from there. But it just really depends on what business you want to run. If you want to run something that's a little bit more low ticket, a little bit more general, and a little bit less personalized, then you can always charge less and work with more people. In general, I personally, from my experience, I'd rather work with less people, get a really, really good result, make a really long-lasting impact, and then move on to the next person, right? Really set them up for success and then move on.
Yeah, and to your point again, like all the stuff you're describing that's part of your program does show how good of a program it is too. It's not like it's just 1 or 2 things. Like you're really going in depth, like actually doing DEXA scans with people and blood tests is a pretty cool aspect to add in there. And I would think that a lot of people don't necessarily think about that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the biggest thing from a PT is like when you're building your business, like think about the other, types of people you can bring into your business that could, help their health, right? So other like nutritionists, or you can even bring a physician to read blood work and stuff like that. There are more things you can do besides just a little bit of rehab and some exercise programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can definitely expand on it too. Now, I mean, talking about your program in specific, let's dive in a little deeper into that. What are some of your favorite success stories with your clients? Let's talk about them.
Oh, well, if we're going to talk about DEXAs first, I think Tyler Petersen's a great success story. He ended up starting with us in the beginning. He like really didn't know where to start when it comes to the gym. He was honestly a little bit of a newbie. In the first 5.5 months, we did a pre and post DEXA. We ended up seeing that he lost He started at 30% body fat. He ended up losing 38.1 pounds of body fat in the first 5.5 months, and then gained 12.9 pounds of lean body mass in that same time frame. So his body fat percentage went from 30 to 11 in 5.5 months. And so for him, it's an awesome success story. Obviously, 12.9 pounds of lean mass is not a 1-to-1 ratio of muscle, but it's a good result. And so having the DEXA, gold standard for when it comes to measuring your body composition to prove it is icing on the cake. And I think that's the biggest thing for why we started doing DEXAs is we really wanted to prove and show people that it's not just about the number on the scale that we're after, right? It's one thing because if you do the math, right, 38 down, 12.9 up is around 25 pounds. So on the scale, it's like, oh, you lost about a pound a week over around 22 or 23 weeks at the time. But the DEXA showed a completely different story about how his body was really able to recomp in that period. So other than that, Josh Lingerfelt, shout out Josh for watching the podcast. I'll give him a shout out as well. He started a little over 300 pounds when we started working together. The guy was the most skeptical person you've ever talked to. Typical Georgia man, very skeptical of this online thing. And so he started a little over 300 pounds. He ended up losing over 90 pounds of body fat. And we actually got him to step on a natural bodybuilding stage, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
He ended up winning his class for the Masters division, which is awesome. And I think just that huge transformation it took to go from 300 pounds to stage lean is wild. And so it took us a little over a year and a half to get there, but it just completely changed his life. Looks completely different, acts completely different, total different level of discipline that he has now in his life. And so that's another cool success story.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. Anything like that, 300 pounds to on stage natural bodybuilding, that is pretty absurd. And I think we could sort of steer to another direction too. You're a very good natural bodybuilder. You got the OCB Pro card. We see it in the background there. How did you get into bodybuilding, and how did you end up getting the Pro card?
Yeah, so I got into bodybuilding basically after baseball. I got to figure out something else to do with my time, and so wasn't a big CrossFit fan, wasn't a big runner. Like, I'm gonna try this bodybuilding stuff, and so started hypertrophy training. Obviously, want to look good and stuff like that, which is every guy wants to look good, right, and feel good. And so started training for that. I competed for the first time during clinicals in PT school. That sucked. The amount of
that's impressive, man.
It was not good. I was lucky where my CI at the time was like an ex-strongman. So he's like, I get you. I understand, right? I'm going to go easy on you. Because like those last like week before, peak week and stuff like that, I was like, no, super low calories, very, very low body fat percentage. I had veins coming up my stomach and stuff. Like none of my polos and my khakis fit quite right because I lost so much weight. But it looked really funny at the time. But he was really nice, and he was like, okay, you're good. I'm gonna go a little easy on you while you're doing this show. And so I competed during my clinical rotations at PT school during the fall. Ended up winning, which is awesome. So I won the Central USA show back then. It was an NANBF show, which is INBF. INBF show back then in 2021. That would have been fall 2021 because I graduated spring 2022. And then I took a big hiatus, right? I'm like, okay, finished school. I'm, making some money from social media. I'm doing this coaching thing. I've been doing it basically since 2019. During PT school, I kind of made it a side gig type of thing. And when I finished school, I was already making more than a physical therapist makes. I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this and see how far I can build it. And so from then, I spent the next 3 years really just trying to build up my online practice, right? After that, I got to a point where I have 4 coaches, I have a sales staff, I have an admin staff, I got a marketing team. And I'm like, all right, well, this thing can kind of run on its own. Let me see if I can go back to bodybuilding for a little bit. So I ended up being 220 pounds, a little bit over bulked. And honestly, at that time, I'm like, I was also, feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome where I'm teaching, weight loss and how to build muscle and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm getting a little bit fluffy. And so, I started to feel a bit more self-conscious, like not wanting to take off my shirt for like videos and stuff like that. Obviously, as a coach myself, like I am my own client, so I got to show what I can do. And so I got to kind of put my money where my mouth is. And so, February of this year, I started my bodybuilding prep, and so I started cutting down, went from 220 to 210 to 200 to 190. Started getting a little bit lean. I'm like, all right, well, let me look for a show, and so I entered into the Music City show in Nashville, and then ended up cutting all the way down to about 180 ish. Could have been a little bit leaner, but that's where I ended up, about 180 pounds. I lost 40 pounds in my bodybuilding prep. And just like the last show, got to a point where I had, veins coming up my stomach and stuff like that, crazy stuff, striations and all that stuff. And then competed in the Nashville show, ended up getting third. I'm like, man, that really sucks. And so I was getting a, post show like little meal with my fiance, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm done for the year. Like this was a lot because it took me like 6 months of prep of low calories, cardio, and all that stuff to get to that point to lose 40 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. I got third. It wasn't, I wasn't as competitive as I wanted to be. She's like, no, just do one more. There's another one in St. Louis next weekend. You should do it. Like you're already there. You've already done all this work. Just go hop in another show. And so I go register for the other show. It was a week before, right? So I had to pay the late fee. I was like, God, damn. And so paid the late fee, entered in the show, and drove 7 hours from Lincoln, Nebraska to St. Louis to compete in another show. And I ended up coming in better because at the time, when I competed for my Nashville show, depleting all the way down that 40 pounds. By the time I stepped on stage for the Nashville show, I didn't fill up quite enough, right? During my peak week, I really didn't give myself enough carbohydrates to really fill back out. I was really just really flat and depleted from dieting so hard for so long. And so after the Nashville show, eating more calories and be able to fill up more, ended up being, a lot more muscular, a lot more defined for that second show the next week. And a lot of bodybuilders will experience this and even I experienced after my first show in 2021, is that you almost look a little bit better like a week after the show because you've allowed your body to, recoup some of that nutrition and be able to recoup, some of the lost muscle mass that you had during that fat loss phase. And so competed in that St. Louis show, ended up winning, got my pro card, got a cool sword as well. Every like 12-year-old boy would absolutely love this thing, but I got a freaking katana and the pro card, right? And that was a pretty cool, nice little side quest. And so I really view it more as a side quest, more of a personal thing. It's not really, I do not really want to get, I'll take a couple, but being like a bodybuilder coach is not really something I'm super called to do. I'd rather make a bigger impact on somebody who's, wants to make a huge transformation, stuff like that. But bodybuilding is more of like a personal side quest for me. I'm also a OCB judge as well, and so I got certified to judge this year as well. Trying to make bodybuilding a little more cool in Nebraska at least, and so that was my little story. So
I have to go.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I have to go back to the katana. Is there a story behind the katana? Like, did they just give out katanas at bodybuilding shows?
Yeah, they kind of give like random prizes at different bodybuilding shows, and it is sharp. Like it's pretty sharp. But different shows will give different things. Like there's the Minneapolis show that I think gives away like an axe or something, like a metal axe. There's other like I judged a show in Omaha this year, test judging, and they gave away like hammers, like these metal, like Thor looking hammers and stuff like that. So bodybuilding is really known for weird prizes and weird gifts when it comes to like their shows.
Weaponry.
Yeah, any sort of medieval weapon is
I think I
pretty.
just called the bodybuild. I want these weapons.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Like, I never heard of that before.
really?
Not that I'm like watching every little thing in bodybuilding, but I've at least dabbled in it enough that I thought I would hear something about that. But yeah, I've never heard of that. That's very cool though.
One of my close friends who we had on the podcast is also a bodybuilder, and he never mentioned anything about swords. And so I got to ask him, as soon as we're done, I'm calling him and say, hey, did you ever get a sword in bodybuilding? And if he tells me no, then I'm going to tell him, then you're not a bodybuilder.
You probably did.
But no.
Or at least some metal. Or...
Yeah. No, but that's really cool, though.
Do you think like there's any other, I guess, strength competitions or anything else that you'd want to get into, or you mainly want to stick with bodybuilding?
Oh, I like anything physical. Yeah, there's a half marathon one of my clients wants me to enter next spring, and I'm like, all right, well, I gotta start getting on that. Especially next spring, it's getting cold here in Nebraska. I can't really run outside like I'd like to, but I do have a treadmill in my basement. I have a whole home gym that I built out. We put in like the nice like gym flooring and stuff like that. And I do have a treadmill I can run on. And that'd be kind of cool. I'll be down to do high rocks. I'll be down to do some powerlifting. I'm a fitness enthusiast at heart. I'm not like a diehard bodybuilder. I'm not super concerned about being the most optimal for hypertrophy. I'm just trying to be the most optimal for me.
Yeah,
I like it. You're just up for any kind of fitness related challenge, anything that you can find to challenge yourself by the sound of it. So I think that's really dope.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way.
Yeah, my grandma just wants me to do American Ninja Warrior, but I'm not that nimble. I don't think she realizes like I'm not that kind of fit,
That's a really different. But hey, you could train for it and give it a shot.
Yeah,
I'm with grandma. I say Ben goes on Ninja Warrior.
My fiance and I went rock climbing the other day. I can't really see it on my hands, but I got cut up from rock climbing. And that was honestly super fun. I could definitely see why people spend like 2-3 hours like a day like doing rock climbing and stuff like that. That was super fun. I mean, that's something that I'd be interested in as well. Tons of upper body strength. I don't think me weighing what I weigh right now is super helpful for that. But I definitely could tell at the rock climbing gym, there's like the people that were kind of like on like the thinner side. They were just really strong for their size, just like these little spider monkeys just go up there. Keeps wanting to switch the audio on me. But rock climbing is another one that I think is pretty fun.
Yeah, so
Aaron used to dabble in a lot of rock climbing. I went with him one time, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was like the amusement park one, which is like, yeah, I could just climb up there. I didn't realize that like the rocks on the walls. And sorry, Aaron, I'll let you jump in 1 second. I didn't realize the rocks on the walls were like grip tape on a skateboard. So when I went to go grip it, I'm like, this is gonna not feel great later, definitely. But sorry, Aaron, I needed to say that first. Go ahead.
But I'm the same way as you. Like I just sort of like to do a lot of stuff. Like I did. Actually on Saturday, like a mini high rocks competition that was just close to my house. My neighbor was like, oh, this thing's coming up. Do you want to do it? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. But I guess I have sort of a short attention span when it comes to like fitness. Like I like to just switch around and do a bunch of different stuff. And I used to go rock climbing a lot because there was a rock climbing gym like 10 minutes from my house. So it was just nice and easy to hop over there. But I moved and now it's 40 minutes instead of 10 minutes. So it's not really the easiest thing. And I have a little gym in my basement too. So it's just way easier just to do that. But yeah, rock climbing is one of those things that on face value, it's so like it is obviously it's a lot of strength, but there's a lot of, I guess, like thinking with it too, like actually figuring out how to move your body and get through a route. Like when you first start, it's just like everything just feels so weird. And then all of a sudden it starts to be like, oh, I can move my body in some sort of way. And it actually makes this thing that I thought was super tough actually really easy. And when I rock climbed a lot, that was definitely the best my grip strength ever was by far.
Yeah, rock climbing is kind of like it's almost like a video game in a way where you like go up, you try this route, and you kind of realize like, oh, I can do this. Like I just like unlocked a new skill, It's like, oh, I didn't realize I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, and then the grip strength is insane. I do think that like being a non-blue collar guy and stuff like that, I don't have like the roughest hands in the world. I think it also helps you kind of get into your primal state a little bit.
Oh
And
yeah,
so yeah, definitely.
that beats up the hands a little bit, and they will get
And like
very tough.
the flexibility that some of these rock climbers have is just like you'll be hanging there and be like, wait a minute, like I can't really reach that yet, but let me just shove my foot up into this other spot, and the next thing you know, you've got like I was amazed by seeing some of these like people at the rock climbing gym. Like didn't even know I could bend that way or move that way. I mean, I can't, but how like the human body can do stuff like that is pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the like non symmetric stuff that you do, like well, I guess non-symmetric, asymmetric stuff that you do, like reaching across and like doing this stuff that's a little bit more, not in the typical, not in the typical planes that you're like working in, or at least I'm working in. And so I remember there was like a one like little course at the rock climbing gym, and I had to like reach across and pull up, and I'm like, oh, my body's not used to doing that motion at all. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I gotta rethink a little bit of my training at my programming. So I get a little bit better for rock climbing.
Do you think that there would be any carryover to bodybuilding, doing like all those different motions that your body's not used to?
I think maybe from like a potentially opposing standpoint. I don't think from a hypertrophy standpoint it's probably very optimal. I think it's more fun than anything, and I think one of the biggest issues I have with like some like the science-based, they're not science-based, but science-based people is like they think everything has to be hypertrophy focused. It's like, well, you can still be like an athlete and work on other qualities of athleticism that could have some carryover to your hypertrophy training, right? Not everything needs to be like 100% hypertrophy all the time. But do I think it has like a significant carryover to bodybuilding? Like, not really, but I do think it just makes you a better like overall athlete and person overall to just do something different and do something new and potentially do something with friends, right? Because bodybuilding is a very like lonely sport. Like you're doing this on your own. No one else is really dieting with you unless your partner, your fiance, your wife, your husband, or whoever is, doing with you. It can be very lonely. And so I think it's good to just like do things with other people.
Yeah, and then we always say on this channel too, like the best exercise is the one that you like to do because you'll stay consistent. And something like that just helps you stay consistent. Like, even though it might not be optimized for hypertrophy training, it's still definitely good for your body. Still gets you moving. Still gets you doing stuff that it's way better than sitting on the couch. That's for sure. But yeah, overall, very good for you. Now, believe it or not, we're already coming up on an hour. Ben, is there anything else you want to shout out before we wrap up?
Yeah, if you guys want to leave the Glute Guys Network a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all that stuff, wherever you guys are listening to, you guys should do it. And if you want to check out some of my stuff, just dr.ben Petersen with an EN at the end on all channels. If you like free stuff, my website has a ton of free stuff. Check it out. Other than that, that's basically it.
Cool.
Thank you, Ben. I'll make sure that I include like your Instagram and everything in the description too. We'll share everything through. But thank you for coming on. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. All right, everybody. Have a nice night.